Number 10. Ultimate Black Widow. When we're talking about Ultimate Natasha, we are of course talking about the Ultimate Universe, which was an alternate universe that would ultimately be its own Marvel comic imprint, launched in the year 2000 and lasting until 2015. It was meant as a jumping on point for readers who may be overwhelmed by the decades of Marvel canon in existence. So this universe was brought into being, but it wasn't the same. People had different backstories, origins, and the like, which of course extended to Black Widow. Natasha in this universe was a member of the Ultimates, that being this universe's Avengers. She was a former KGB agent, and she appeared to have turned over a new leaf, and was involved prominently with Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. However, it turned out she was far from the reformed Black Widow of the main verse, and was actually out to betray the team, as she was still loyal to Russia. Her relationship with Tony was to get her close to his tech, and it had worked. He had infused her with nanites. However, Tony is ever paranoid, so this did not end up working out for her. What many tend to remember though is that the two had a sex tape, so there you go, tidbits. Number 9. 1602. 1602 is a well-known Marvel Elseworlds story by Neil Gaiman that reimagines the events and characters of the Marvel Universe, but in Elizabethan times. Here, Black Widow is a freelance spy, and has been given the moniker the most dangerous woman in Europe. In this universe, she has a thing going on with Count Von Doom. She even betrays Matt Murdock for him. Black Widow and Daredevil were a big thing back in the day. It's one of those relationships that has kind of been lost to time, particularly outside of comic book circles. Her relationship with Doom? Well, it doesn't exactly work out, which I mean, not that shocking. You're taking a risk when you deal with Doom. Number 8. The MANGAVERSE. The Marvel MANGAVERSE was a series that ran initially from the years 2000 to 2002, and then later ran as the new MANGAVERSE in 2005 to 2006. In this universe, Black Widow first appears in the New Dawn arc, and she is a villain. Can you tell by her black outfit? The color of evil. She is hired by Mordo to kidnap Bruce Banner. Like most confrontations with the Hulk, this does not go well. She is assumed to have not survived this encounter.
Number 7. Facets. This version of Starfire comes to us from the alternate universe explored in 1988, the New Titans comic series, annual issue number 10. I mostly wanted to include her for her look. Apparently, in this alternate universe, bandage garments are just all the rage, and both Raven and Starfire can be seen in them. Depending on the lighting in the comic, Starfire's outfit goes between being pinkish and black, though I'm assuming the black version is just because she's meant to be shrouded in darkness in those panels. The bands or coils wrap around her legs, arms, and around her neck, giving her a sort of coil necklace. She is barefoot, and this comic also contains a lot of flying butt shots. Like, a lot. This alternate version of Starfire seems to have the full potential of her powers unlocked by an alternate version of Phantasm, who in this reality is a wizard. Number 6. Dark Multiverse Judas Contract. This alternate timeline appearance of Corey is short but great. She briefly appears in this story that reimagines the storyline of the Judas Contract, where instead Tara becomes inspired by Dick leaving the mantle of Robin to become her own supervillain. All because Robin told her she could be more. She kills Deathstroke and then takes on the Teen Titans, and even goes up against the Justice League, adopting the mantle Gaia. Corey in this alternate universe is obviously a bit younger than her main continuity counterpart, and as such has a look more inspired by her original appearance in the comics, as well as that big curly 80s hairstyle that I love so much. Give me all that big hair. Who doesn't love when Corey sports that original look as well? Sadly, this alternate version of Starfire, like many other heroes in this story, meets her end at the hands of Gaia. Number 5. Shatter Starfire. Shatter Starfire is a combination of the character Shatterstar from Marvel, a mutant hero known for his affiliation with the X-Force and New Mutants, and Starfire herself from DC. Shatter Starfire first appeared in the Amalgam Universe comic X-Patrol, whose name is a mashup of the DC's Doom Patrol and Marvel's X-Men. Shatter Starfire has more a Starfire-inspired look to her than a Shatterstar look. There is very little that this Amalgam version of her cannot accomplish as well, as she has enhanced speed, strength, and reflexes, as well as enhanced agility and flexibility on top of the standard Starfire powers, emitting energy blasts, flying, and adopting new languages via physical contact. Her costume includes armor-like shoulder pauldrons and a headpiece, as well as a very small purple bodysuit with cutouts similar to her typical look. Number 4. Starfire. In the comic series Flash Forward, we get to visit Earth 13, where we are introduced through Wally's adventure to a very different but equally sexy version of Starfire. On Earth 13, while talking with an alternate version of Etrigan, worlds seem to blend together and collide as the multiverse seems to stretch and worlds kind of ooze into one another, afflicted by dark matter. Earth 13 appears to be blending together with Earth 32, which is where Starfire and her Outlaws of Justice are from. This version of Starfire looks more fearsome and emanates with power, although we only get a brief glimpse of her. Her hair is a swirl of flame and her eyes glow a yellow green. The crop top she wears here has a very different and dramatic cutout pattern when compared with her original look.
Number 3. Ultimate Avengers. No, it's not another visit to the Ultimate Universe in comic form. We're going to the land of direct-to-video DVD. Oh yes, a glorious land. So, the Ultimate Avengers films was a group of about 6 films that loosely adapted the stories and characters from the Ultimate Universe. So if you weren't aware of that and picked it up, you may have been a bit confused as to the relationships certain characters had with one another. The first film was released in 2006, and it went hard in that PG-13. Hard. Natasha's sexuality and attractiveness are on full display. Red dresses, lipstick, cleavage, flirting with everyone. We're putting all the 13 in that PG. These films are okay. Nothing to write home about, but an entertaining watch. Though for many, they have been largely forgotten. Number 2. Black Widow MCU. This is the Black Widow that many people became acquainted with the character through. Some even consider her the main version. The Marvel Cinematic Universe introduced Black Widow, portrayed by Scarlett Johansson, all the way back in Iron Man 2 in 2010. Since then, she has been an integral part of the universe, all the way through Endgame, and interestingly enough, beyond, despite her sacrifice in that film. For many years, Black Widow has been a fan favorite, and there were cries for her to get a solo film, and many still feel that her solo film should have come before some others. People really wanted that Budapest movie with her and Hawkeye, an extravaganza, you know, before his secret family. At this point, it's safe to say that ScarJo's Black Widow is iconic. Number 1. Green Widow. Or Warp World. Why can't I quit you? Okay, so Warp World is a universe created when Gamora, wielding the Infinity Gauntlet, folded the universe in half inside the Soul Gem, where she had the souls of heroes located, which created fusions of everyone's favorite heroes. So here we have a fusion of the She-Hulk and Black Widow. The Green Widow gets her powers from the Green Room, which no is not the lounge area where performers hang out as they wait to go on stage. No, not here anyway. She was also trained there, so just a combination of things. She does not stand out as much as some other Warp World characters, but this is a hottest alternate list. And for some, a combo of She-Hulk and Black Widow, that's just a match made in heaven.
Number 10. Captain Mar-VELL. So I know what all you Carol Danvers fans are thinking. Captain Mar-VELL is not an alternate for Carol. He's a separate character. In fact, if anyone is anyone's alternate in this situation, it would likely be that Carol is kind of an alternate to Captain Mar-VELL. Though really, no one is an alternate in this situation. And yes, you're completely right, they're 2 separate characters. But Captain Mar-VELL was the original Captain Marvel. And I think to really understand what makes Carol so hot, we need to appreciate his hotness as well. So for the purpose of this list, we're going to count him as an honorary alternate. Captain Mar-VELL was a Kree space captain who was being used as a pawn in a plot to basically destroy Earth, which is why he was sent there. He's a captain and his name is Mar-VELL, which is kind of how we got his superhero name, Captain Marvel. When it comes to what makes him so attractive to Carol, it's more than just his physique, although that physique is it's pretty good. Mar-VELL was a war hero. He was not only strong, but brave, empathetic, kind, compassionate, and brilliant. He posed as an Earthling named Dr. Walter Lawson, who he had witnessed die, and while in that guise studied humans, their advancements, and their culture, at a base in Cape Canaveral. It was at that base that he met Carol, who was the chief of security there. Eventually the two fell in love with one another. Carol was kidnapped by Yon-Rogg, and while Mar-VELL saved her, there was an explosion of a Kree machine known as the Psyche Magnetron, kind of a Kree wish-granting machine. It was because Carol had wished while being saved that she could be a hero like Mar-VELL that she was granted her Kree-like superpowers and potentially her part Kree physiology. Number 9. Cyborg Carol. In the Age of Apocalypse alternate universe of Earth 295, Carol Danvers gets all the pouches. And pouches are sexy. Well, maybe no they're not. I don't know, they could be. It depends on what you keep in them, maybe? Well, Carol's outfit here isn't particularly attractive per se. Her attitude certainly is. Carol Danvers sacrifices herself trying to defeat villain Donald Pierce. also known as Goodnight, an agent of supervillain Apocalypse. Unfortunately, blowing up both herself and Pierce with grenades failed to kill her or Pierce fully. Both survived, and Donald Pierce turned Carol into a cyborg, programmed to be used against her former allies. Fortunately, AOA's Logan, Weapon X, was able to snap Carol out of it, only for her to die soon after, killed by Pierce. Still, she tried. Number 8. Evil Warbird. This alternate version of Carol comes from Earth 7192. Her history is similar to her Earth 616 counterpart, except that after her powers were zapped from her by Rogue, she never really recovered from this devastating blow, and instead was consumed by severe depression. Due to this, she never came into conflict with the Brood, which resulted in events that led to her entire planet and possibly her universe being destroyed. She somehow became displaced in an alternate universe as a result, and blamed Rogue for all that had happened, swearing vengeance on the mutant and becoming the villain known as WARBIRD. Eventually, she ended up on Earth 616, where she became an enemy of both Rogue and main continuity Carol Danvers, who at the time was known as Miss Marvel. I can't have a hot alternate list without including at least a little sprinkle of evil. Number 7. POWERGIRL. Although this isn't exactly an alternate version of Harley from another universe, it is a dramatic alternate look that I thought was worthy of making this cut. This version of Harley is from the 2016 Harley Quinn series. For a while, Harley finds herself obsessing over POWERGIRL, who actually becomes a friend to Harley, surprisingly. Harley Quinn has always been such a great character because she's so versatile. She can be good, she can be bad, she can wear pretty much anything she wants and make it work. She's just an interesting character who's kind of trying to find out who she really is and wants to be through redesigning her look and exploring different sides of herself, which I think is something we can all relate to at some point. Well, for a while, she wanted to be like POWERGIRL, which led her to dressing in a POWERGIRL-inspired outfit of her Harley Quinn suit, boob window and all. Number 6. Thrill Killer. In the miniseries Thrill Killer, which takes place on the alternate universe of Earth 37, we meet Haley Fitzpatrick, who is this universe's Harley Quinn. Haley is a high school girl who becomes the partner in crime to this alternate universe's Joker. In this universe, the Joker is still a criminal, but is a female, who is known by the name Bianca Steeplechase. This version of the Joker and Harley do end up being not just partners in crime, but in romance also. And the two, while still being villains, are much kinder to one another, and both seem to genuinely care for each other and reciprocate each other's love for one another. It's like a nicer version of their relationship, to be honest. Number 5. White Knight. This version of Harley leaves the Joker when she realizes the only person he loves is Batman. After the Joker is cured from his insanity, however, she returns to him. The Joker, aka Jack Napier in this version, has just apologized to his Harley Quinn and proposed to her after the real Harley Quinn shows up, revealing the one who was with him at the time was actually an imposter and a fake who took over after the real Harley Quinn disappeared. These two ditch the imposter and set out trying to actually mend their past and learn how to be together and love one another in a healthy way. This version just goes to show how great and supportive a partner Harley can be. And I don't know about you, but I think her kindness and understanding that this alternate shows only elevates her hotness factor. Although I also think that this is also within main Harley as well. This time, her and the Joker stop Batman for the right reasons, becoming the heroes of this story. Number 4. Injustice Harley. After the death of the Joker at Superman's hands in the Injustice universe, Harley finds herself teaming up with the good guys to avenge his death. Whether we are talking video games or comics here, this version of Harley looks good either way. And she also kinda is good. Her blonde hair is up in her famous red and blue tipped pigtails, and she wears goggles on her head. Kind of a similar look to her DC Bombshell version, actually. This version of Harley works on the side of Batman and the Insurgency, and later on works surprisingly closely with Green Arrow as well. She prefers to go by her real name, Harleen. In the video games, she is also voiced by Tara Strong, whose Harley voice is known for being a fan favorite. Who's your favorite voice for Harley Quinn? Who's your favorite voice actor to play her? Let us know in the comments. Number 3. Exiles. This version of Carol Danvers appears as part of the evil Weapon X team in the 2001 Exile series. She represents a darker side of Carol Danvers. Carol ends up allying herself with Hyperion, and together their team takes over an alternate world. This version of Carol is power-hungry and shows us just how dangerous Danvers can be if she were to change her tune and value her own power over protecting the innocent. Her costume here is a variant on the Miss Marvel look, but all black, still with the red sash. And she also seems to wear what looks like slightly fancier safety glasses, but even with those safety glasses, she is fine. Also, thank goodness she breaks them. She also has a few steamy scenes with her teammate and lover, Hyperion. Number 2, MCU Captain Marvel. I always appreciate live-action versions of characters because there is something to be said for turning these characters into people who feel and appear real. I mean, as real as the former amnesiac Kree hostage with a power-disabling microchip can feel. This version of Carol Danvers is played by Brie Larson. Not only is Larson a talented and accomplished actress, but she also has proven just how fire she is in roles, like in 2010 Scott Pilgrim vs. the world's indie pop sensation, Envy Adams. You may have forgotten that she played Envy Adams, but we did not. The other thing that is great about this version of Captain Marvel is her strength, her relentless resolve, and her knowing smirk. Also, they nailed the outfit in that movie with her awesome helmet as well that gives us that glorious space mohawk. I love that mohawk look on her. Number 1, Ultimate Alliance. The best thing about the Ultimate Alliance games is that you can often also unlock bonus costumes for your characters. In Ultimate Alliance, you can either have a playable Miss Marvel Carol Danvers or Captain Marvel Carol Danvers, depending on which game in the series you are playing. Throughout all the games, you get access to almost all of Carol's mainstay persona looks. There is even a version of her costume available to unlock and wear that is her as Binary. Although the story of how Binary came to be is kind of dark, Binary is known as one of Carol's most powerful forms in the comics, and in fact is how Carol restored her powers after Rogue drained her of them. This look as such radiates power in waves, and it's that power that is so attractive. It's also one of the hottest costumes for Carol's character in the Ultimate Alliance games, both literally and figuratively. White hot. Number 10, Star-Woman. This version of Stargirl is known as Star-Woman and comes to us from Earth 33. Courtney Whitmore in this alternate universe is a magic user wielding a staff that allows her to channel the power of the stars. She was the apprentice of Starman and fought to avenge his death. This version of Courtney looks like a mashup of Black Cat and Stargirl somewhat. She has white hair, a black mask, and wears a black and red long sleeve crop top with stars on it, red gloves, and black shorts. Crop tops for the win! I'm a big fan of the crop top. Can't wait for summer so everyone can wear crop tops. Number 9, the most dangerous woman in all of Europe. Is there a time period that exists that does not look good on Natasha? In the 1602 universe, Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, is known as the most dangerous woman in all of Europe and is a freelance spy, not loyal to any particular country. She ends up aligned with Dr. Doom's alternate, Count Otto von Doom, in the 1602 alternate universe of Earth 311, which also ends up resulting in her death when she questions orders given to her and Doom's plan. Number 8, Vampy. If you are a fan of Vampirella and also a fan of futuristic, potentially cyberpunk looks, then I have a hot alternate for you. Anarchy Studios published a comic series in the early 2000s introducing an alternate version of Vampirella from the future. The series was named after Vampirella's nickname, Vampy. This Vampy sought to cure her vampirism and ran around in a zipped up red leotard, thigh highs with a holster slash garter attached to keep them up, and red boots or futuristic kind of looking sneakers on her feet. She also had a gold chain style choker and arm bracelets and red gauntlets. This was a pretty epic look for Vampy, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of love it. I also love the sometimes futuristic sneakers that she wore. I need a pair of those. She still sported her signature golden bat symbol as well in this version, which I think is the symbol of Draculon? Pretty sure.
Number 7, Yelena Belova. Now, Yelena may not be another version of Natasha, but she is another Black Widow. She was created in 1999 and is the second to have that mantle, and at first she is a fierce rival and enemy of Natasha, who felt that she had disgraced the Black Widow name and did not deserve what she had. She was first sent to kill her and was a difficult foe, as she had had the exact same training as Natasha, being conditioned in the Red Room. However, eventually the two would become allies and friends. Yelena is still around doing her own thing. even if she shares Natasha's codename. She does a lot of assassinations. Also, some of Black Widow's romantic interests have become interested in her, like Hawkeye and the Winter Soldier, so that's a thing. Number 6, Jessica Drew, Ultimate. That's right, the Ultimate Universe had more than one Black Widow. Another was Spider-Woman Jessica Drew. You have to specify which Spider-Woman because depending upon what universe you're in, there's also multiple Spider-Woman. Jessica Drew would change her name from Spider-Woman to Black Widow. Also, in this universe, Jessica Drew is a clone of Peter Parker, a gender-swapped clone. She first appeared as Black Widow in All New Ultimates number 11. We needed all new Ultimates because a lot of them died in Ultimatum. Her Black Widow would have to do with honoring the memory of Captain America. And also, well, the Black Widow is a spider, so it makes sense. Number 5, Black Widow 2099. The 2099 series of stories was an event that initially began in 1992 as a vision of a potential future for the Marvel Universe and a way to explore legacy characters within it. However, it would later be retconned to being the future of the 616 universe, or the main Marvel Universe, so make of that what you will. In 2015, this universe was revisited with a series of 2099 comics and stories, one of which was Secret Wars 2099. Here we are introduced to Tanya, Black Widow 2099, who is a member of the Avengers 2099 team. She was dark. She was initially depicted as a serial killer who would eat men after she slept with them, but would also go on to be Black Widow. Look, 2099 characters are hit or miss. Not everyone can be Miguel O'Hara. He sets the bar real high. Number 4, Avengers Assemble. One arena where Marvel tends to underperform DC is in the animated series department, which isn't to say that they haven't had shows that people have enjoyed or even classics, but that doesn't happen with the same regularity as DC. There have actually been a couple of Avengers animated series, one of which was Avengers Assemble, a series that ran for 5 seasons, but seasons 4 and 5 were essentially a different show, even from each other. This series, which began in 2013, would bank heavily on the 2012 movie lineup, which was not the original Avengers comic book lineup. The show would also focus on how hot Black Widow was. There's a decent amount of booty shots for a kid's cartoon. I see you, Avengers Assemble. You've been seen.
Number 3, Rachel Roth. This version of Raven comes to us from the world of the DC bombshells. I love this world, it's just so stylized. If I were ever to do a Raven cosplay, I think this is the one I'd most want to do. Also, if I were to ever visit like an alternate world, I think I'd want to visit the DC bombshells. This version of Raven became the mind-controlled pet of Joker's daughter. She ended up being saved, however, by Zatanna and Mary Marvel. Her costume in this universe consists of devil's horns, a corseted bodysuit, long matching gloves, fishnet stockings, and an off-the-shoulder cape with its standard jewel fastening. Overall, it's just an amazing look for Raven. I really, really like it. Number 2, She-Thor. This version of Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk comes to us from the famous pages of Sensational She-Hulk issue number 50, where Jennifer is looking for a new writer for her comic after her writer died. In truth, the famous comic book writer John Byrne was not dead, but was leaving the series. And Jennifer herself in the comic had him tied up in her office's closet. She was just tired of him writing for her and she sought a new comic book writer. One of the pitches her character receives in the comic is the idea of a story where she herself is an alternate version of Thor. Goddess of lightning and wielder of Mjolnir, she is the sensational She-Hulk. This version of She-Hulk sports a cape, a winged headpiece, and a metal bikini. Gotta say, I'm a fan of this mashup. Jennifer would make a great Norse goddess. However, she didn't go for this one. She-Hulk wasn't too impressed with it. It's hard to impress She-Hulk. Number 1, Manga Marvel Girl. Okay, so the MANGAVERSE definitely has one of the most random and hottest versions of Jean Grey ever. Mostly because of the drawing style though, I think. Honestly, the MANGAVERSE just gets all the hottest versions of female superheroes usually, and some of the male superheroes too. This version of Jean usually keeps her hair pulled back in a green scrunchie. She wears a green and gold super crop bikini style top, and arm warmers, and super shiny green pants. Alternatively, she can also be seen in a more classic but still anime version of her original costume. Short, green skirt, big, thigh-high yellow boots, and an off-the-shoulder shirt with a yellow-collared harness over top. Number 10, Starfire the Liberator. This version of Starfire isn't a direct alternate of Starfire, she's more of a different character who shares the same name. In fact, this version of Starfire actually existed before Courier herself did, in the comics, but she does share some similarities in terms of the type of hero that she is. This Starfire is also an alien who is given up as a baby in hopes that the alien ROTH who took her in would be better able to provide for her. He raised her well, but with the ulterior motive of wanting to marry his ward once she was grown. Or at least once she was 18, which I guess he considers to be grown? Are you fully grown at 18? I think your brain stops growing at 18. Anyways, this child who grew up to become a fair young woman was known as Starfire. Once fully grown, 18, just as ROTH planned to marry her, she managed to escape with the help of a monk named Dagon. Dagon trained her to become a skilled fighter, and the two of them fell in love, but he ended up being captured and killed on ROTH's orders. This inspired Starfire to become a hero, whose main aim was to liberate and free all slaves. Number 9. The Birds of Christmas. This alternate Earth is simply known by the name of the story it appears in the DC special comic, The Nuclear Winter Special. This comic comes with a bunch of Christmas-themed stories, including one where we see into a potential future where global crime has only gotten worse, and where Green Arrow resigned from the Justice League, growing older and becoming a bitter man. He somehow still manages to be invited to the Justice League's annual holiday party, though. And though he and Black Canary appear to have gotten on in years, Kory appears in the background, appearing as young and energetic as ever. We see her on the dance floor dancing up a storm, apparently eternally youthful. Maybe her extended youth is because of her alien physiology, or perhaps this is an alternate future where Kory has a daughter who looks just like her. Either way, her bright smile and energy make this alternate version of Starfire look just as stunning as ever. She could also just be older, but we don't see, because you don't actually get to see a lot of these older features until you're zoomed in on these characters for some reason. Number 8. Nightstar. This version is actually Starfire's daughter. Mary Grayson is the daughter of Starfire and Dick Grayson from Earth 22, but in this reality her mother is also long dead. So Nightstar in this reality is almost like the Earth 22 version of Starfire at that time, as she's the closest thing they have to a living version of her mother. Nightstar's powers are very similar to Starfire's, but she looks more like Dick, appearing more humanoid, though she does share her mother's eyes. Earth 22 is the alternate universe belonging to the Kingdom Come storyline, and because they don't see eye to eye, her and her father Dick in this reality do not get along, with Dick siding with Superman and Nightstar siding with her adoptive grandfather Batman. She ended up being one of the few heroes to survive the nuclear attack. Number 7. Flashpoint Starfire. Not everyone may love the idea of Starfire being a villain, but you can't deny that being bad looks good on Starfire. In the Flashpoint timeline, Kory joined Wonder Woman's army as one of her female Furies. This version of Starfire features a similar look to her main timeline counterpart. She is one of those weird 90s looking face and hair pieces that I love so much. I don't know why I love them, because I feel like in reality they would really look terrible on people. She is also covered in a costume that defies logic, featuring just swirls of purple flame to cover her. And she is also wearing some seriously amazing thigh-high boots. In this reality, her and Dick Grayson end up against one another, and a trap that he lays results in her death. Number 6. Old Lady Frost. In the Old Man Logan universe, Emma Frost makes an appearance looking like she hasn't aged a day. This is of course due to her telepathic abilities, which allow her to appear youthful and stunning in others' minds, even in her old age. The idea of eternal youth and beauty while also continuously getting wiser and smarter is not only super Emma Frost, but also just, I think, appealing to most people. And you might be wondering, what happens though when Emma is faced with a mind that she possibly can't manipulate with her powers? In the Old Man Logan universe, that will actually likely never happen, due to the fact that Emma Frost in this reality is known as being the most powerful telepath remaining on Earth. Number 5. MANGAVERSE Black Cat. So I know that Black Cat isn't exactly a superhero all the time, and is more like DC's Catwoman, in the sense that she walks a fine line most days between being good and being bad. But if we are talking hottest female alternates, then she needs to get mentioned, because she has some of the hottest female alternates. Black Cat also does tend to walk the road of being a hero more often than a villain as well, I would argue. Her MANGAVERSE version is by far one of the hottest, just based on her costume alone. This version of Felicia from MANGAVERSE's Earth 2301 also seems to genuinely care more about Mary Jane than her 616 counterpart. She expressed concern for MJ's well-being, despite also competing with her for Peter's affection. Still, this reality almost implies more of a love triangle between the three of them than a straight competition for who gets Spider-Man. Number 4. Nubia. Nubia is the alternate Wonder Woman from Earth 23, the same Earth as Calvin Ellis's Superman. There are a few different versions that are super hot when it comes to Wonder Woman, who herself is just a stunner, and Nubia is definitely one of them. Not only is she as noble and good as her main continuity counterpart, working with her Earth's Justice League, but her costume is also killer. I personally especially love how strong she looks and love her sporting her metallic armored costume, complete with a silver metal chest piece slash belt with built-in abs. Nothing says sexy like silver metal abs. Number 3, Flashpoint. Flashpoint Starfire proves just how fearsome Kory can be, and reminds us why we likely don't want to mess with her. In the Flashpoint timeline, Kory is a villain who joins up with Wonder Woman's female Furies. Her costume seems to magically stay on, as it is mostly made up of dark purple flame-like swirls. She also wears a headpiece, long purple gloves, and thigh-high boots. Unfortunately, in this alternate timeline, she is killed by a trap Dick Grayson catches her in. The two might be lovers in an alternate timeline, but in the Flashpoint timeline, they become enemies when Dick gets in her way. She aims to shoot him with her blasts, but Dick manages to evade them and causes Kory to create an explosion that results in her death. Number 2, Star Canary. This version of Starfire is actually a mashup of two characters. She comes to us from the comic Superman / Batman, which combines the two titular superheroes' worlds to create a mashup universe. In this universe, Black Canary and Starfire are combined to give us Star Canary. Star Canary has Starfire's ability of flight and her posture and bronze skin, as well as her poses, while having the blonde hair, costume, and canary cry belonging to Black Canary. Number 1, DC Universe Online. Starfire appears in an even more revealing version of her already quite revealing outfit in the video game DC Universe Online. At least, she originally did. Her look has obviously changed throughout the years. DC Universe Online is a massive multiplayer online game where players can create their own character, making them a hero or a villain in the world of DC. Their character can then travel around and interact with familiar characters, heroes, and villains from the DC Universe. Among those characters that you can interact with is Starfire. She originally appeared in the game in an almost string version of her costume, with a hip-length mane of long red hair, and purple thigh-high boots and gauntlets. Like I said, that's at least how she originally appeared in the game. Updates over time have changed her look to that of a high-necked bodysuit without any cutouts. She also wears thigh-high boots and elbow-length gloves. Her hair also now appears to be a little bit longer with the updated look. Either version, of course, has Starfire looking stunning, and what I really love is how her look has changed over time in that game. Number 10, Harley Quinn and her gang of Harleys. These alternate versions of Harleys have actually been approved by the main gal herself. The gang of Harleys were recruited by Harley herself after Poison Ivy suggested that Harley was overworking and could use some help. Over 80 people applied to join Harley's gang, and so to help her eliminate some of the competition, Harley turns off the lights and tells them to fight one another. This allows her to reduce the number of applicants considerably. The gang has changed slightly over the years, but recently reappeared in DC Black Label's Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, looking fine as ever. I also just love that they have one male Harley Quinn, and I personally think Harley does really well when she creates gangs, like with the Quintets or the current Harley Quinn animated series. There is strength in numbers for her. Number 9, Dark Prince Charming. This version of Harley Quinn comes to us from Batman the Dark Prince Charming series. This alternate is kind of a brat, but being a brat is considered hot by some, no? I mostly included this Harley here though for her look, which I just think is so different but is also super cute. She's still got that red and black corset vibe, but with a dark tutu. The look for both her and the Joker here is sort of Victorian inspired, with Harley also in a black garter with some red and black thigh highs attached, and some white button-up boots with heels. She wears a white ruffle around her neck, and her hair is done up in two almost Elizabethan style combs. Number 8, Bombshell. This version of Harley is turned to madness not so much by the Joker himself, but by a dream version of him. In the DC Bombshells universe, Harleen and Mr. J became a sort of Bonnie and Clyde style couple with a Robin Hood attitude. But Harleen left Mr. J when she felt he was becoming more dark and dangerous. Instead, she turned to psychology, training and practicing until she became known for her skills as a psychiatrist. She ended up working at Arkham Ward in London, but a dream her patient had of someone who resembled Mr. J set Harleen off, causing her to have a psychotic break and become insane. She ends up stealing the female dance partners of some English soldiers at a Christmas party, meets Officer Hal Jordan, seduces him, and steals his plane, and as such is often depicted in a Harleen bra-like top and shorts with thigh-high socks and, of course, a bomber jacket. A pretty great look, I must say. Number 7. Huntress. Speaking of pouches, we have another 90s alternate coming your way from the Amalgam universe. This alternate version of Carol appears in the Legends of Dark Claw series and is an amalgamation of DC's Huntress and Marvel's Miss Marvel. She ended up discovering the true identity of Dark Claw and joined his team. This version of Carol fights with a crossbow and wears a costume similar to DC's Huntress, but has very long blonde hair that she keeps tied back, and underneath her costume looks more similar to Carol. Number 6. Anime Captain Marvel. This version of Carol exists on the Earth of 101001. Wow, that's like reading binary. The Earth belonging to the anime-style animated film Avengers Confidential, Black Widow, and Punisher. She looks similar to our Carol, but is drawn to be much longer and much more curvy, which just adds to her hotness factor in terms of appearance. Here she sports her shorter hair and also wears a mask. When it comes to how Carol wears her hair, I've always thought she looks good with it short or long. She is so frequently drawn both ways, even just from issue to issue sometimes. But the thing I love most about her short hair is how it often moves in the wind when she's flying, often flowing straight up when she's landing, making it look really light and soft. There's something both delicate and powerful about this hairstyle on Carol. Number 5. Imposter Carol. This version of Carol was a vacationer from the non-powered Earth of Earth 721. We meet her in the 2005 She-Hulk run in issue 21. She's only briefly featured, but one thing I have always thought was great about this look is the lightning bolt on her costume looks clearly to be made of some kind of transparent material. This has always been a weird, depends on who's drawing thing with Carol's Miss Marvel costume. Sometimes the bolt on her costume looks completely opaque, you can't see through it. Other times it's semi or fully transparent. So although we don't know much about this version of Carol, other than, she's from an alternate Earth where she normally doesn't have powers and likely just wanted to feel super for a bit, she makes the cut for the way that this bolt is clearly drawn. I just have always liked the idea of it being semi or fully transparent. It just adds a little more sexy to an already really powerful and sexy costume. Number 4. Marvel Future Avengers. Another anime featuring Captain Marvel as part of the Avengers team, though in this animated series they are referred to as the Future Avengers. This anime style show follows the story of Makoto, a young superhero training to join the Future Avengers. Captain Marvel once again has a very anime look here, but it's also very cutesy. Her dominating voice provided by Erica Lindbeck combined with her cute look is a winning combination. Adding the fact that this version of Carol is as determined as ever to help the team with her energy blast, sporting her long flowing locks, and with a Sailor Moon-like transformation sequence, and you have one unique and attractive version of Carol. Number 3. Harleen. This version of Harley is one of the most stunning just because of how beautifully she is illustrated. This version of Harley comes to us from the DC Black Label book Harleen, which explores the origins of Harley Quinn, her budding romance with the Joker, and her descent into madness. It has got to be one of the best books for helping you to understand just how racy and dangerous the romance was between these two, and how powerful those initial sparks were. The art by Steven Sedgwick also just lends really well to the ultra steamy, secretive feel of this risque version of the psychiatrist known as Harleen Quinzel. Number 2. Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie has played Harley Quinn in both the films Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn Birds of Prey, and both times she has killed it. She is likely one of the hottest versions of Harley because her version of Harley is real life. Or as close as we'll get to real life Harley anyways. Granted, it's not just Robbie alone, but an entire crew of professionals who help bring hers and DC's vision of the character to life. And stunt doubles, who help to make Harley look just as badass as ever. Although Margot Robbie proudly tries to do as many stunts as possible and as many as the studios will let her do. And it's not just the fact that this version of Harley is live action that adds to her appeal, but that Robbie makes Harley's sometimes ridiculous or dramatic struggles feel so so grounded and somehow relatable. Number 1, Batman Animated Series. We can't talk about the hotness that is Harley Quinn without paying tribute to the version of her that originally got everyone hooked. Now, can we? This version of Harley was voiced by Arlene Sorkin. Sorkin is really the one who made Harley's voice as iconic as it is today. Now it feels weird if Harley is without her high-pitched tone or New York accent. Harley in the animated series was a very loyal companion of the Joker's, and many fans still prefer her full suited jester costume than any other look she has had over the years, proving that no matter how much or how little clothing Harley wears, she makes almost any outfit look good, with her winning wit and silly yet dark sense of humor. I think what many fans really loved about this version of Harley was how smart and brilliant yet underappreciated she was. Also, her loyalty. No matter how many times Joker put her down, she stayed very loyal to her Puddin', as problematic as their relationship was, or how many times he tried to kill her.